Pod Candy!
A podcast about cults, crimes, and killers. Today we're talking about Netflix's documentary, Evil Influencer, the Jodi Hildebrandt Story, a real-world case of manipulation, authority gone wrong, and horrific child torture.
Jodi Hildebrandt was a Utah therapist and self-styled life coach who built trust and influence, then used it to control families and justify extreme punishment for children and banishment of men from families.
With YouTuber Ruby Franke, she crossed every line. Police found 2 tortured children after one escaped and called for help. And yes, God and Satan are intertwined in this horrific story.
Both women pleaded guilty to aggravated child abuse and are now in prison.
This isn't theory. It's documented manipulation, coercion, and torture.
Outside my window, it's only raining. When the wind blows, I feel pain. I don't need no doctor, baby, I'm not sick. My body's been locked up, heartbroken ever since.
Dori,
Yes,
speaking of coming into this, both of us are like, wow, it's 2026. And we're, trying to establish our ground, and with the world the way it is, it's sort of hard. This story to me was one of the most, I knew about it before I read the Sherry Franke book, The House of My Mother. Brilliant. She's a brilliant kid. Can't believe she came out of
Is that Ruby's daughter?
Ruby's daughter, Sherry, wrote a book called In the House of My Mother, which I listened to on tape, audio. It was fascinating just to hear about her perspective. And that's another thing, Ruby Franke, sorry to get sidetracked. But Jodi Hildebrandt, this woman who came into her life, as we said, is this so-called self-proclaimed life coach therapist person, and just absolutely, in my opinion, brainwashed Ruby Franke into believing that all these, and it's interesting, Mormonism, the other case, which right now I can't think of offhand, Lori Vallow, similar, where they create this, that the kids are Satan and they need to bring it out of them. And the only way to save everybody is to get the Satan or the evil out of these kids. And the 2 kids that were left in Jodi Hildebrandt's house, which they found, were malnutrition. They had oozing things on their legs, and because they were duct taped together and tortured, and just the amount of just trauma that these kids have experienced, and also the other 2 kids that were not home and that are older. So I just want to hear what your opinion is. But I have to say, watching this, I watched it twice, and each time it was still absolutely horrific story.
Yeah,
horrific.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on both Jodi and then Ruby Franke previously, and then saw that this one was coming up on Netflix. It was just released. And so I knew the backstory, but this one really did focus more on Jodi Hildebrandt, the, so-called therapist, life coach, Mormon. And it's unbelievable to me. It just like when I watch these documentaries on like Mormonism or other like religious cults, and I don't know, Mormonism are all Mormons religious cult? No, maybe not all Mormons, but there are factions within Mormonism that are religious cults. And it's always shocking to me that they push so hard about family, right? About children and about, and I really feel that it absolutely is about creating. This may go into that whole of, pro-life, quote unquote, pro-life versus abortion, but it really is truly have babies. It's not about pro-life, because once the babies are born, a lot of these cults want to abuse children. They want to, they're so strict with kids. And here's the thing, like you meant, yes, this isn't necessarily about Ruby Franke, but we have to bring her up because I guess she was a YouTube star with her husband. Yep. They had eight kids, 8 passengers. They have 8 children, and she was making content like TikTok content.
6 children plus them, I believe.
Oh, 6 children plus them. Okay, so
yes,
8
but I have to actually look into that because I only know about the 2 older kids, and then the 2 kids were in the home. So,
but then they talked about their middle children too. They talked about it with this documentary and the other. But the fact that so she was popular then. So
hugely popular.
Utah is kind of this hotbed for influencer culture, and a lot of times it is the influencer mom. The focus on the family is so important in the state of Utah, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. That naturally a lot of women grow up with this idea of, I want to be a mother. And so with that in mind, it's like, okay, well, how do I then become the best version of myself as a mother? Well, maybe I could be an influencer. Maybe I could share my story. That's actually exactly what Ruby was doing on YouTube.
Ruby, beautiful, mother of 6, lover of Kevin.
So the Frankies are influencers. They are very popular on YouTube. They kind of represented this idea of the influencer family, someone who could tell the story of what it's like to be a real family.
My job is just to keep the house from burning down and keep the kids from not killing each other.
You're done.
8 Passengers was a big YouTube channel.
They had over 2 million subscribers, over 1 billion views, and they were able to make a substantial income off of that platform.
There's this kind of pressure to put forth a certain type of veneer, a certain type of way of life, where others are going to want to ask you about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Ruby is posting on her social media, sharing being a mother and a wife. Is my house clean? Are my children fed? Do they look a certain way? Am I teaching them correct gospel principles, which is the woman's role? But there's a lot of opportunity to feel pretty badly about yourself, like I'm not meeting the standards.
I think the notion was this Jodi Hildebrandt who was abused herself, and we can really get into that with the doctor when he comes out of the green room. But she was probably abused herself, and she kind of has this anti-man persona, anti-children persona, and she's a quote-unquote therapist.
She has her own 2 children who won't speak to her. So she decided to pull somebody else's kids into her sick game and start to torture them. And as you said, Dori, this has been on my mind, family values. These evangelicals, these Mormons, these IBLP, it's the same shit about family values, family values. Guess what? Everybody cares about family values. Don't use that as a platform or something the religion is covering up all of this abuse and torture to these children that are alive. And then we want to just keep having more because we won't allow people to make a choice about that.
Yeah. And and Jodi Hildebrandt is really putting wedges, or she was, into relationships as well.
Oh, yeah. She was. So she was a marriage counselor.
Yeah, she was a quote unquote marriage counselor, but her theory is essentially separate.
Yeah.
She only wanted to divide a
No
man
contact.
and a woman. And then she wanted to, like, she essentially manipulated both of them to hate each other.
She kept telling us, you don't need sex. There would be no sexual relationship in any way. My marriage was not improving. And so Jodi advised that we have a year-long separation with absolutely no contact. During that time, I did end up, in the hospital, and she wouldn't let me call him or text him and let him know. There was no help in trying to get us to reunite. It was just no contact, the end.
My wife had just met with Jodi a few days before, and Jodi had counseled her on what to say and how to approach the situation. And then she said, I'm gonna leave for a little bit, and when I come back, I don't want you to be here. And at first I was like, what is going on? Like, I was completely shell-shocked. I called Jodi and she said, if you're in this program, it's because you are not safe. And so as Jodi Hildebrandt, the person called of God to fix this problem, I have to separate you.
I've had men come to my practice after seeing Jodi Hildebrandt. The wife has been convinced that Jodi's program is the only way they're going to be able to save their family. And he feels stuck, like if I push back, immediately the wife says to him, you are in denial. Or you are in distortion, which is this word that Jodi Hildebrandt has kind of used prominently in her messaging.
You're either making choices that are supporting truth or they're supporting distortion.
And now, because you have this consciousness around truth and distortion,
Be attacked by distortion.
so truth doesn't matter. So let's go there. Dominantly, you're choosing distortion.
Learning principles of truth really is the truth.
I think one of the main things that I got previously from the Ruby Franke documentary and now this one is that husband of Ruby Franke, who had zero idea of what was going on with his children for almost a year. The fact that a father would be manipulated, or it's mainly the men, be manipulated like this to not have contact with his children or his wife because Jodi Hildebrandt said, this is the way to go. You can't have any contact. Who would do that?
I don't know how a father could not say, this is weird that I'm not allowed. So Kevin, the father, he was left, and I believed him when he came in. He's like, what are you talking about? Like when he's being questioned by the police, like where were you? He's like, I haven't been able to talk. It sounds ridiculous when you hear him say it, but you think about it and the fear that he must have had, but still, wouldn't you try to figure out what was going on if you didn't hear anything from your kids for a year and you're just sitting there? Same thing with this nice couple in this new documentary who she completely ruined their relationship, their marriage. And it's so, so sad because she herself could not maintain a marriage and she herself could not maintain her children.
I mean, I think we just need to call it out. And it's obvious that one, Jodi, really despises men. And two, she's obviously a lesbian and she's a self-hating lesbian. Somebody who can't come to terms with her own sexuality, so therefore wants to destroy other women's happiness in their relationships. I mean, can we just call it out? Yeah. She's, I mean, like I think it's my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that a lot of the anger from a lot of the people that are extremely religious has to do with repression and repressing urges, repressing tendencies, and then not allowing yourself to be that way, which then translates into abuse. And I know John agrees with this because when you are not allowed to express yourself and you're not allowed to do things, what does it make you do? What is it, when you're told, sex, they're obsessed with sex. Sex is a weapon. Sex is bad. Sex is this. What are you supposed to do when you're alone? Oh, well, I have these urges. Now I'm going to act out in the worst possible way. Right. Well, and
no education.
a lot of these people that preach like that like a Jodi Hildebrandt are also hypocrites, because a lot of them preach, anti-sex and don't touch each other. And she kept saying, like, with men that, they must be addicted to porn, when they're not.
They look at a porn one time.
And then they say they masturbate, or if a man is masturbating, she's like, well, then he's addicted to porn.
That's planting those seeds. She creates people that are completely dependent on her, because she's giving them all this, like, reinforcing all of these negative things that aren't even true, and reinforcing. And I guess it's no wonder that people become totally, like, dead. They're brain dead. Like, they don't even know what to do.
We also say all the time, follow the money, right? So, I mean, this woman, they showed,
charging a ton of money.
Showed how many sessions she was making him do. One of the other men who was speaking about how she ruined his life, and he showed how many sessions she told him he needs to do, times how many times he was going, how much they were per session. He had to take out, like, other credit on his credit. You have to, like. And this is not the only case. We hear a lot about this now that we've been watching a lot of these, religious cults. They want you to, like, mortgage your house to give to the church or give to these people.
She found a niche and she marketed it. And Jodi was very successful at getting people to give her money.
When we were searching the residence in Jodi Hildebrandt's closet, we located a large duffel bag with about $80,000 cash.
Jodi was making a lot of money. I mean, I could do some math right now. I was paying her $175 an hour for every individual session, and then a men's or women's group, it's $75 per week. Paying for yourself and another person, that was $2,000.
In Jodi's office, I located a book with all of her clients. She was meeting like 46 people a week.
We were paying more than our mortgage to Jodi every month. We ended up in so much debt. We had maxed out all of our credit cards. We paid well over $50,000. And I remember at the time saying, like, it's worth it for us to heal and then have a good life together.
It's all about when you're dead. It's like, if you give this money, that means you're secured a place in heaven. But you're giving money to people that are alive. It doesn't make any sense. This tithing thing, it's in every religion like this. There's this need for money and need for tithing. For what? For what? It only benefits the people at the top. It's the same thing as an MLM. It's the same. Every cult is the same. It's based in, manipulation, coercive control, total brainwashing, abuse, torture. I mean, all of that stuff it's all one umbrella of shit. It makes me so mad.
We talk about the brainwashing when those children are found, and they are, the one son went to a neighbor's for help. But
I couldn't believe it. The guts to do it.
His fault, but he kept saying, "Take me to jail, take me to jail."
So sad.
That's what his mother and Jodi Hildebrandt kept saying to him, like, you belong in jail. So that's why he was like, he probably wanted to get away from the torture. This is not the first time he escaped, but he thought he deserved jail. Because he's so bad that all he can do is take me to jail. And then the daughter, when she is found in a room by herself, locked in the room by herself, just sitting there, she was petrified. Didn't know that the police were there to help her.
So sad. Ugh. Wasn't that awful?
It literally breaks my heart, because again, they preach family, 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 and then these MFers treat children like
horribly.
And, No, but
And
more times than not only just the physical abuse, but a lot of these kids, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. I'm just going to go out on a limb. More than not, coming out of these extreme Mormon sectors have experienced some form of physical, sexual, and or emotional.
I mean, I agree with you. And think about this. The kids in the Mormon faith and in IBLP, a lot in IBLP, as you know, from this blanket training, they train kids. So the Mormon, they train kids they want to break you at 3 months, because if you're crying, that's manipulation. It's a baby. So if you start those kids that early, not letting them respond to their feeling and instinct, you're cutting instinct off. They're going to become a robot. They're going to become desensitized. They don't have any. It's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
To spank a 3-month-old. I listened to another Mormon podcast and I had to turn it off. First time ever. I couldn't listen because he was talking about abusing his 30-month-old baby in his crib because he was crying.
I can't. Well, I think that this, I mean,
Is this as good as time as any?
We obviously are very riled up, and I have heard that the doctor is a little under the weather today. I mean, a lot of the colds, flu, that's going around a lot, but I don't know if he was crying in there. Or not. I heard some sneezing, and I heard some blowing the nose, and I heard crying. So, but he's a professional,
Yes,
right?
he is
so
a professional.
He did want to show up today, and I know he probably has a lot to say about being a therapist himself. So let's welcome
an actual therapist.
An actual therapist. Let's welcome him in from the green room. Hi, Doctor.
Yes.
Well,
Hi, Dr. Mayer.
Thank you much. And I got some sinus thing kind of going on, but I kind of like the way my voice sounds. You know, it's kind of
really deep and sexy.
It's deeper sexy. Timbre. You know, so maybe it's worth all the suffering here.
Maybe.
But wow, was I wanting to pipe in from the green room on so much of what both of you talked about, because this is just such an evil situation that went on with these people. And again, I always like to start by saying a good documentary. It was well done, but again, the value of Pod Candy here is we're going to add a little deeper insight into the documentary that they didn't get at, and especially this character of Jodi and her background. This is a person who I assess was very sick from the time she was probably a little child, and they didn't really talk about it on the documentary, which was, again, is always disappointing to me. And I think, again, why we're on Pod Candy is these documentaries fall short as to, well, why does this happen? How did this get created? Well, this Jodi Hildebrandt is a very disturbed person. And they briefly talked about she was abused by teenage boys when she was a teenager. I don't know if they use the word raped, but that she was sexually abused by teenage boys as a teenager. But I'm not hanging my hat on that.
No.
I think she was a disturbed individual well before that. And I have a feeling she was physically abused and disciplined, just like her philosophy was that kids need to be. And I think both of you talked about that with the Mormon Church and their beliefs on child raising and the strictness of it. I have a feeling that's the genesis of what we're dealing with Jodi Hildebrandt, is that she was physically abused and sternly brought up to be mild, and creates this whole philosophy. But as both of you pointed out, the real puzzle here is how people follow these individuals. And we see this time and time again in the documentaries that we watch. But I will say one thing that both of you didn't talk about, and that is this Ruby and her husband Kevin, I think one of the reasons they followed is they're not bright people.
No, it's a very common theme.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You prey on people that are not that intelligent. And here's a key that I got out of that. When the police were interviewing Kevin, the husband of Ruby Franke, the number one follower of Jodi Hildebrandt, they said a word, and I forget the word right now. I meant to write it down. And it was a very common word. And he goes, well, what does that mean? I don't understand it. And I'm going,
oh, yeah.
Buddy, you are so dull. If you don't know. And then it clicked on me. Here again, we have people that are not very bright, and they fall prey to this leader that has these psychotic ideas about life and etc. But Stacey, you wanted to pop in and say something.
Well, maybe the lack of intelligence comes from the upbringing from the beginning. If the upbringing starts there, then what are you know?
In the control, haven't we seen it over and over again? And as we analyze these cults, that when you're so controlled and you're left out of knowing about the world and sometimes basic education that they control, I think you're right. I think that probably contributed to all of this. And something else and this may be a new twist that we can talk about with the audience here today. One of the things that came up to my mind, and it's an early thing we study in psychology, is mass hysteria. If you may or may not remember, and it's in our history books, etc., the Salem witch trials and all the Salem stuff.
Yeah.
And
I was in the Crucible. I was in the Crucible.
You starred in the Crucible?
It's a great play.
I was Abigail, and I just want to throw that out.
Congratulations! If anybody's looking for an Abigail in the Crucible,
Dori
is available.
From Palatine High School in probably 1985, 86.
Let's get a revival of that. Let's
brush up the monologue and get you out there.
Okay? I think it was very important for me to say that.
Yes, it was very important. And for our audience to know that.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm getting at. You take a look at Ruby Franke. She's a very attractive individual. She has this website going up. She's popular and successful because they're making money off this website. Mm-hmm. And why does she get caught up with a Jodi Hildebrandt? Because you use the term brainwashing. Yeah. But this goes deeper in this case. It goes into this mass hysteria. I think she got caught up with the devil and Satan. And audience, look up the Salem witch trials again and how these people got caught up into, around every tree and around every corner is Satan. And these are not, unusual or sick people. This was a whole community, a whole town that got caught up in it.
And it's like this whirling thing where everybody like you're saying, mass hysteria.
Yeah. And I think Ruby Franke got totally caught up with that. And these other women that Jodi preyed upon. There was in the documentary, there was several of couples that, and you guys pointed it out, her treatment, if we can call it, was immediately separate, from your wife. And one guy, this Ethan Preet, was a former patient, and he goes, I love my family and we're happy and etc. And that's when you referenced this the other Salem witch trial hysteria kind of talk that Jodi would spin out, was this whole thing of everything's pornography. Everything's pornography. Oh, you must be addicted to porn. And there wasn't even any mention of it or any evidence, but every guy is interested in porn and addicted to porn. So you have to separate. The only thing to do is separate.
I wonder, people who maybe paid for Jodi Hildebrandt, I wonder if they watch these documentaries now, and like, I don't understand the ones that still will defend her, you know? Because there's always, like, when you watch, like, people who are, you know, in the cult, and, you know, nowadays with so much media, I mean, yes, there are some cults that are very, like, remote and they don't watch any TV, but a lot of people in Mormonism, they watch TV, they're on social media, they know what's up. I'm always shocked by the people that still defend.
Well, thanks, Dori, for bringing that up, because that was the other thing that hit me. As opposed to that other fringe Mormon group that we had an episode on.
FLDS?
Yeah.
Jeff.
Warren Jeffs.
The Mormon Church couldn't do anything about that. It was a separate group. But one of the things I thought I was in, with all this control that the church has over these people and exerts on people, why didn't they slap this Jodi in the wrist for this radical, crazy stuff that she was espousing? And she did it under the rubric of, I'm LDL, and I'm part of the LDL. In fact, the church would refer
They kept
clients
referring
to her.
people. Yeah, they used.
Well,
they
she was a bishop.
Yeah, they essentially used her as their therapist. Like, whenever couples had issues, they referred only her, because the other therapist that was talking in the documentary, right? She mentioned there aren't a lot of
Mormon therapists.
Of Mormon therapists, yeah.
Like, that are recommended by the bishops, because you have to have the bishop recommend your fucking therapy.
Yeah.
You know? And that's be a Mormon.
So what do these bishops say now about
Right.
Jodi Hildebrandt?
And that's another thing that emotionally I reacted to more strongly than all of our other podcasts. Yeah. This whole therapist thing. Oh my God. You can't imagine how this aggravates me, because here's another person, no training, no real education. She got a master's degree, dubiously. Her license to be a marital therapist was taken away well before all of this happened. So these people are coming to see her, and nobody checks out, is this person really authorized to do this? Which is another big message for our audience. If you're going to see a therapist, make sure they're a legitimate therapist. What is their education? What is their licensing, if any?
John,
and by the way, the other thing, real quick, I want to say is when she was being interviewed by the police, she called herself, and this really aggravated me, she called herself a psychologist. She was not a psychologist. She was a therapist.
Forgot about that.
Well,
she was, and she got in trouble. She got her license revoked. I mean, but then they got by. She still continued doing the Connextions thing with an ex. They get by calling her a coach.
Right. That's the other thing that aggravates me. All these life coaches running around, which is not regulated. Anybody can call themselves a life coach.
When I learned about Connextions and had searched a little about Jodi, I also learned that her therapy license had been put on probation. This was years prior for some client confidentiality reasons.
In 2011, a subpoena came to our office one day, and Jodi and I both were surprised. She opened it. It was from a client who was accusing her of HIPAA violations. HIPAA violations are when you share client personal information that you have no right to share. She let me know that the subpoena had stated that because the client looked at pornography, she claimed he was a sexual predator, and gave that information to not only his college, but also his ecclesiastical leader. She was angry and bothered and said it was in his best interest because he was still actively engaged in addictive behavior. Her license was put on probation, but Jodi's business still grew during that time because she was getting around that restriction by presenting as a life coach rather than a therapist. And her new business, Connextions, was exploding online. She had revenue streams from groups and individual therapy. She wrote workbooks. She had online content. As a businesswoman, Jodi really knew and understood how to build an empire, really.
If you're like me, you've had pain in your life. Feelings that you're not enough, or that you're unlovable. Connextions is the solution.
She made a fortune, right? You looked at that compound, and it truly was a compound. Oh wait, I just have to say, Stacey just took out a back scratcher. I have not
and I'm wiping my nose.
I have not seen a back scratcher in so long.
I stole it from my mom in Florida. She has 3. Oh my, John,
Same
come
color.
on. You look like you're gonna.
They both have back scratchers, everybody.
Yeah, you know,
I'm
we're
the
2
only
peas in
one who rubs my back against
Let's
a
take a
pillow
back
or
scratching
the
break,
door.
everyone.
Yeah,
okay.
we're
Audience,
2 peas
take
in a
your back
pod.
scratchers out.
Anyway, the woman, Jodi has a compound. So she has a ton of money. And a safe room. I mean, that was to throw kids
Oh,
in,
that was bullshit.
Oh, wait, my favorite thing from the documentary was
the safe was 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes, when she got busted and the cop says, oh, we need to get in the safe. What's the number? And she's like, oh, I haven't used it.
I don't know.
So long, I don't know. And then they show that the combination, I don't remember what
like 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was the combination.
John.
Okay, gets back at what I was saying about intelligence. Who the hell puts a combination 1, 2, 3, 4? Hello.
It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody.
Yeah.
There was a 5, 6 to it.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Was it a 6, 7? Just kidding. I'm not bringing up 6, 7 again.
6, 7.
That is 6, 7. But that's and to go into that room, and also the other thing is, what about this mixture of cayenne pepper and stuff that was in a room, and the kids' legs were slathered with it?
That's what
is
they
that?
use. So tell people that's what they used to when they would torture the kids. So they had open wounds. They would use a mixture of, it was cayenne pepper and it was all red. Yeah. But that would burn, and then they would wrap in plastic
saran wrap,
the saran wrap, and then duct tape around that to clear up the wounds. These children, you can see in the documentary, they mentioned they were malnourished, but you could see their leg. They blacked out their faces, but you could see their bodies were skin and bones.
They looked like Holocaust
survivors.
Yeah.
You know, it's a mix. Jodi Hildebrandt, who was convicted of child abuse, used a paste made of cayenne pepper and honey to dress the open wounds of Ruby Franke's children. And that kind of stuff should never, ever be applied to open or cracked skin.
And they found it all over the house. Buckets of it.
So disgusting.
Once the first search is done and we found the young girl, we immediately requested a warrant to search the residence.
Police department.
It's not just for people. It's not just for life. It's to collect evidence of the crime. We just served her with a warrant, so we're at the home now. We just started room by room, item by item, documenting everything that we found.
They look for evidence of physical abuse.
Going through Jodi Hildebrandt's room, we're looking for things that corroborate the boy's statement and have given him these injuries.
And they find overflowing garbage can. Clearly they had been wrapping his injuries in this saran wrap, and we later came to understand it was a homeopathic mixture of honey and cayenne pepper remedy, which nobody should hear that and think that's a good idea.
It was clear that Jodi had been helping dress the wounds and the injuries on the young boy. We found more of that mixture and saran wrap in Ruby Franke's bathroom. We also found rope. There was a lot of duct tape in the closets.
This is a 10,000 plus square foot house with a lot of cement underground basement storage space. And in one of those rooms, there was a built-in safe.
I have a question for you. Yeah. You have a room downstairs that has a safe wheel on the front?
So law enforcement went and asked Jodi, hey, what's the combination to the safe? And she responds, oh, I can't remember it.
That thing has been locked for a couple of years, and I would have to call whatever.
Okay, is that a panic room or a room where...
It's a room.
And you don't know the code?
I haven't used it.
Okay.
Our lieutenant, he just went down and was kind of messing with the safe. Hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it opened right up.
These kids that were tortured were Ruby Franke's children.
Yes, exactly.
The co-conspirator, her. You know, it's her own children that are being tortured.
She
Disconnect.
was, I guess, manipulated, supposedly, thinking, like you said, John.
Maybe she was just in love with Jodi.
Yeah, that these children are possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
And they showed photos of Ruby and Jodi on vacation together on the doing water sports together, holding each other as the. Yes.
I want to say one thing. I believe, in my humble opinion, it's just my opinion, that Ruby Franke was pussy whipped.
Yeah, I said, I didn't say that.
Did you already say that?
Oh, no,
but no, she was.
Jodi was. But in the other
Ruby was.
documentary, yes, in the other documentary leading up to this Jodi Hildebrandt documentary on Netflix that just came out, they alluded to the fact that they shared a bed, that Ruby, and because Ruby told Kevin bye-bye, because Jodi told her to say bye-bye for a year, that there were rumblings that the two of them were definitely involved more than just co-owners of their new podcast together.
March of 2021, Jodi really opened up to Ruby that she believed she was being tormented and haunted by shadow figures every night. Ruby was convinced that we could intervene and help Jodi. And I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want this in my house, but I relented. Jodi would go into possession mode. She would talk in like different voices.
Jodi would wake up in the middle of the night. She'd be having these, what they believed were prophecies at the time. And at that point, Ruby decides, I'll stay in the room with Jodi and I'll handle these night terrors.
And that was that. They started sleeping in the same bed. Basically, there were all these rules now placed on me. I couldn't come into the kitchen to eat until Ruby gave me permission. And the upstairs where Jodi roamed was completely off limits. They'd just go up and lock themselves in a room for 4 or 5 hours, and then they'd come out and they'd just be on cloud 9, and Ruby would share with me like she had this amazing vision, and I wrote it all down, and that's when she asked me to leave.
What an unlikely couple. You have Ruby Franke, who's an attractive, fit-looking young woman, and you got this kind of toad-looking individual.
Well, we don't want to do too much
ad hominem.
I'm always like saying the looks thing doesn't matter to me. I mean, yeah, that doesn't matter to me.
Where's the Dori every episode?
Personalities.
Where's the Dori every episode? Are you?
Where's our
hot?
recurring episode statement of who you think is hot, Dori?
In this one, I'm gonna say nobody. The woman, the police woman who spoke. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
attractive.
Okay.
She was
Yeah.
attractive. I wouldn't say hot, but she was an attractive lady.
Attractive. What about the DA guy? He was okay looking.
It was all right.
He didn't really do. You know what? I do have a problem. You know, we've watched now a lot of these where the DAs talk or like
Yeah.
lawyers talk, and they all seem like buffoons, don't they? Didn't even
this one was a little.
What did I didn't hear what you said? They all seem like what?
Buffoons.
Like he
this
loves
cold
the
is getting to you.
camera. I didn't think he was dumb. Like I didn't think that he was lesser intelligent. But I really think that these people that go on these documentaries, some of them just seem to like being on camera.
Oh yeah.
That's my thought.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't want to. I had another opinion of him, but I'm just going to keep it to myself.
You're teasing us.
The other thing that I found, and I'm kind of going back and forth between both the Jodi Hildebrandt documentary. I'm sorry, the Ruby Franke, and then now the Jodi. But when Ruby is arrested, and she's in the room and she is staring at them, it was literally psychotic. I mean,
What is that, John? Like, was
I don't know.
she
What is
just,
that?
Was it a defense thing? Was it that she was so brainwashed she didn't understand what was going on?
No, she understood what was going on. That was her, how should I say it? Her strategy of not talking, not giving him anything. And she was good at it. I mean, look at the willpower and control she had. She literally, under questioning and even the slightest thing, could you please go to the other room? She was tabula rasa, blank slate. She didn't react. It was impressive how unresponsive she was. But then if you notice, and this was done well in the documentary, then at transitions when she was with Jodi and, other people, she was, very conversant and very normal. It was impressive how she could just shut down. But I also think that's part of her pathology of why she was following Jodi, But anyway.
Yeah. They got more into, I think I really did enjoy like the calls from prison and hearing her, hearing Ruby speak, from prison. But they got into that too in the other documentary too, where it's kind of like she's coming out of it, Ruby Franke realizing what Jodi did. And I to be honest, I mean, they say that Ruby showed remorse and that Jodi never did. But did you guys think Ruby really to this day has remorse for what she did to her kids?
No.
Neither does Lori Vallow.
I reading through that conversation, an audience, what Dori's addressing is that they had really nice phone conversations recorded from prison from both Jodi and Ruby. And the conversation was so primitive.
Weird.
It was just like not an educated adult would talk. And you're right. The documentary at one point said, well, this kind of shows that Ruby showed some remorse. I didn't see that at all. I just think
Stacey, I am curious. I know you didn't want to talk too much about the book, but because you read it from her oldest daughter, can you just give a few, like what was her?
Well, Sherry was, she's the oldest daughter. She's really beautiful and like really well spoken. I think she's going to law school. I can't remember. Remember, I've listened and watched so many things. Like the content I take in per day is crazy. So I hope I'm not screwing it up. But the thing that Sherry struggled with her whole life was it was pleasing her mother. And she could never please her mother. And it was like a battle. And there was always she was never praised for who she was. She was always trying to be what her mom wanted her to be. And it just wasn't, she never got what she needed from her mother. So she just had to let her go. And she has divorced herself from that. And the son.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, and the son, is his name Chad, the boy? a gorgeous kid.
Yes.
Her brother, he was forced to he wasn't allowed to sleep in his bed. This is when they got wind of it on her 8 Passengers channel, is when they started talking about, Chad actually said, I haven't been in a bed in 8 months and I'm sleeping on a futon on the floor. He's punished. And then, they go into the punishment. That kind of shit is what she was dealing with.
So like we've said that maybe Kevin, the husband, was kind of dull. Like, where are his nuts? Like, why wasn't he stepping up during, that's one question. Like, where was he during the rearing of these children to step in and say, maybe we shouldn't be doing this? But also, it seems like from what you're saying, Stacey, the oldest daughter was experiencing a lot of this as a child growing up. How is it that then with these kids, but it doesn't sound like there was torture, John? And is it only because of Jodi coming into it that it became actual torture, or was there torture with the older kids?
No,
well,
I do not.
Here's the key. Here's the key that, and Kevin said it, is that, I obeyed the Jodi's command, which I'd remind me to talk about these commands a little bit. Jodi's command was to separate and have no contact with my family. And I felt that order, emphasize the word order, came from God. Again,
wait. So we're saying that Kevin, but in the rearing of the older children, it sounds like there was, not to the extent when Jodi stepped in, but it sounds like there was some shenanigans going on. So that's what I'm wondering. Where was the father?
Well, they showed, Dori, they showed early episodes of the 8 Passengers, what do you call it? Podcasts or whatever it was.
TikTok shows.
And Kevin was in total agreement with the strictness of the upbringing. And that was even before Jodi came on the scene. So again, we have this history of strictness and discipline with the kids, as you're pointing out. So he was in agreement with it. He was okay.
He went along with it.
The LDS faith is very big in journaling. They're told to document everything. There were several journals located, and Ruby's was really unlike anything I've seen.
We found written documentation of everything that was happening.
Everything they had done to the children and why. The young boy and girl have been in so much deviant behavior. Their selfish, sinful lifestyle is being intervened upon. Day 2 of young boy jumping on a mini trampoline. He would have to jump on the trampoline for hours at a time in the dead heat of the summer, and if he would take a break, he was now deceitful. He was trying to cheat. He's defiant. The young boy, or I should say his demon, stays in the shade. I come back with a cactus poker. When I poke his back to get in the sun, he doesn't even flinch. He is in a trance and doesn't appear to feel anything.
We found that exercise trampoline along with the actual physical indentations, marks that it had made on the concrete.
I'm seeing the calcium buildup on the trampoline, and that's because he was sweating. That's not just a leisurely activity at this point. He was being tortured on that small trampoline.
I want to tell you a few things because I needed to refresh my memory. Ruby Franke's treatment of her eldest daughter, Sherry Franke, was characterized by emotional, physical, and financial abuse, neglect, and manipulation. She never felt affection. Like, that was a big thing. Ruben often told Sherry that she hated her and that Sherry is the one judging her. Ruby and her Connextions business partner, Jodi, encouraged Sherry to engage in negative self-talk, labeling her intelligence and confidence as arrogance. God, this woman's a horrible person. Neglect. She was neglected with her physical and mental health. Sherry was ill. She was trying to tell her mother she was having, she had mono and she was experiencing vision loss, and Ruby delayed taking her to the hospital. That's a big thing. She developed severe anxiety and religious issues due to controlling environment. And she wouldn't let, Sherry asked her mom if she could see a therapist. She was not allowed. And so Sherry does love her father, and I believe they're still in touch. But Sherry was forced to take on significant caregiving responsibilities to her younger siblings. But when she found out about this abuse, she didn't know about the torture until she was brought into it, of the two youngest children.
So Jodi's niece, really the other documentary previous to this one did go into more depth of the torture that she received from Jodi, stepping in and living with Jodi for a while as well. And
taking over Sherry's room, kicking the daughter out of her room.
Yeah. So, like you said, John, I would have really liked to have heard more about Jodi's upbringing and how her niece's parents decided, let's send our daughter to Jodi. They're obviously, it's a brother or sister of Jodi's. So I would like to know why at that time that was even an option, if Jodi is such a horrendous person previously, before all this torture and all of this.
Yeah, you can't explain it. There's no evidence as to why these people do that. But again, we saw this in the other episode that we had on, and that would people say, okay, well, I can straighten these kids out, and they really didn't need any straightening. They were kids. Jodi's niece, a beautiful girl, said, I was just a normal teenager. I did normal teenage things, but they thought it was the devil, I've had cases where parents have sent kids off to religious correction camps because they listened to heavy metal music. It's a true story. And it's like, you scratch your head and go, yeah, I'm not a heavy metal band aficionado, but do you send your kids off to a religious conversion camp?
I've seen a lot of documentaries that I'm sure Stacey has on those.
Oh yes, on the conversion reform
schools. Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
I've been involved in the shutting down of these kinds of places. And so we should talk about that at some point. But
there was a movie with Nicole Kidman, I believe, based on this, but Unerased was the name of a really good podcast that I listened to. I just, isn't this, apropos to society right now? It's like everybody's personal shit is being projected, and then other people, I can't say this. You know what I'm saying? It's like my personal hypocrisy. I hate these people, and I myself are afraid. It's all about the fear of that.
Yeah.
The fear of gay people, the fear of trans people.
It always comes down to fear. That really,
it's always about fear.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of these religious cults absolutely are.
They put the fear of God in you. No pun intended.
100% fear based. So,
and if you get forgiveness from God, if you say you've been forgiven, that's an excuse. And I've seen this I keep seeing this over and over and over. Sorry.
So when does Jodi get out? When is will she ever get out? When is she up for parole? Didn't they do 3 consecutive 20? Yeah, John.
Yeah, that was a little vague. I believe they have 3 or 4 30-year consecutive sentences, I thought. Or
20 year, 30 year, something like that.
4 to 15 years for each of the 4 terms.
Yeah.
So she may not get, but a lot of these people get out of prison, or they're early, or they're commuted by our or exonerated by our wonderful
politician.
president, by our politicians.
But
oh yeah,
if you,
oh yeah,
I thought the female police officer made a strong statement.
Oh, she was good.
Really loud and clear.
What did she say? I forgot.
I am totally afraid if Jodi Hildebrandt is ever let out of jail because she is so manipulative.
She's smart. She's the one with the intelligence. When we say Kevin and Ruby were maybe more dim lights, Jodi definitely has. She's, well-spoken. She has a brain, and those are the scariest manipulators. The ones that really, truly aren't. And if only these people would use their intelligence for good.
It's just disgusting to see someone on their own power trip take something that can do a lot of good for a lot of people and twist it into something that can be so harmful and rotten. Because this is a story about religious extremism. I think that's why Jodi's such a risk to society. She seeks influence and power over people. She'll get people to do things that are destructive for themselves and for us as a society.
Now that she's in prison, I've thought a lot about that dramatic change in her life and wondered if she's still reaching out and trying to suck people in to those dark places that she's brought so many people. I think she's extremely dangerous. If Jodi got out and she had a way to still influence people, she would find that way and continue.
She has a clear pattern of manipulation and victims over the years. It's a pattern that didn't stop after Jesse. It's not going to stop now. She likes the control, and it's something that I would be very concerned about if they allowed her to leave.
The message to our audience, if you're seeking some help or some life direction, be extremely careful as to who you are going to follow. I mean, people that have degrees and have been doing this for a long time and show their expertise, not to get involved with these people that just, declare themselves a helper. And as we used to say, put out a shingle and
an expert.
And read a Google review. How about, I'm sure if we Googled connections, let's read some
Google
reviews before, or let's read reviews on therapists that you want to go to before you decide to partake.
And we need to mention that name to warn the audience. So Jodi's website and business was called Connextions.
With an X.
With an X. So be careful of that. This is what we're talking
Connections.
about. Yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, I think we all need to go find our own connections.
Yes. Yeah. Let's go find our connections and eat lunch. What are you guys eating for lunch today?
I had a bar.
Lunch. What is lunch?
I don't know. I had a protein shake. Yeah.
As they said in Downton Abbey, lunch? What is lunch?
Did they say that in Downton Abbey?
No,
wow.
She said
a quote from Downton Abbey today.
You'll get everything here on
Weekend?
Everything. You'll get Bridgerton quotes.
Yeah, Bridgerton, and we'll do. That's great.
No, the quote from Downton Abbey is weekend. What's a weekend?
Oh, it is.
Sorry,
okay.
Downton Abbey, not Bridgerton.
Weekend.
I'll bring a Bridgerton quote.
And please bring your. Did you say you did the Crucible?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I would like you to prepare a monologue, and John and I will break it down. We'll help you. We'll come up with some really good work.
I remember this. Your Honor, I freeze. That's what I remember from the Crucible.
Can you dress up in the
as a witch?
Next time, I'll do that.
Witch, dress up as a witch. Okay, so I'm gonna thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this amazing information. And if you love our podcast, consider donating any amount to buymeacoffee.com/podcandy. Every bit helps us keep creating the true crime, cult, and pop culture stories you can't stop listening to.
So people can buy us a cup of coffee?
Hey, audience, can you suggest topics for our show? Do you have any ideas? If you do, please email us at info@podcandypodcast.com.
Thank you to everyone for listening. On our next episode, we may be discussing a cult or a crime. Our theme music is written and performed by Midnight Current, and you can hear more from them on SoundCloud. Please visit podcandypodcast.com to learn more about us and listen to all of our episodes, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much.
Pod Candy!